Hello, everyone. My name is Shanna Murray, and our group chose to talk about NATO. Imagine waking up one day and hearing that a war happening across the world is affecting gas prices, food costs, and global safety. The war between Russia and Ukraine has impacted countries everywhere, and one of the biggest organizations involved in the discussions is NATO. Our group researched NATO, the Ukraine war, and the countries involved using credible news and educational sources. Today, we will explain how NATO plays a major role in the Ukraine war by supporting European security, assisting Ukraine, and influencing relationships between countries around the world. First, we will explain what NATO is and why it was created. Then we will discuss NATO's role in the Ukraine war and how the conflict has affected countries globally. To begin, let's first look at what NATO is and why it was originally created.
Hello, my name is James Carter, and my role for this project was to research NATO. So, what exactly is NATO? NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and it's one of the most important military and political alliances in the world today. It was formed in 1949, right after World War II, during a time when Europe was unstable and trying to rebuild. The idea was to create a group of nations that could work together to prevent future conflicts and protect one another. NATO started with 12 founding members and has increased up to 32 countries today. The purpose was to protect member countries through political and military cooperation. So, at its core, NATO is built on the idea of collective defense. This means that the security of each member country is connected to the security of all others. The most important part of this is Article 5, which states that an attack on one nation is considered an attack on all. The principle is what gives NATO its strength. It creates a powerful deterrent because any country thinking about attacking a NATO member knows that they'd be facing the entire alliance, not just one nation. Because of this commitment to collective defense, NATO plays a major role in maintaining peace, stability, and deterrence across Europe and North America. Its purpose isn't just to respond to conflict, but to prevent it from happening in the first place. So understanding these principles is important because they shape how NATO responds to events happening around the world today. And with that in mind, Julio will now explain NATO's role in Ukraine war and how these principles influence the alliance's actions. Thank you.
My name is Julio Jimenez, and today I'll be talking about NATO's role in the Ukrainian war. Let's get to it. Well, NATO support in the Ukrainian war. NATO has provided military equipment and humanitarian aid, along with many countries of NATO having done donations, including weapons and supplies. NATO has also helped train Ukrainian troops, along with its members continuing to provide financial support. NATO's increase in security in Europe has been at an all-time high ever since World War II. NATO has placed more troops in Eastern European countries along with nearby countries from Russia, which have put security as a main priority. NATO's increase in strengthening their defense in member nations has also been an all-time high. NATO has also increased its military readiness due to this war. Well, this Ukrainian war has not only affected Ukraine and Russia, but NATO itself. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, my name is Jewel Vanderberg, and I am a Brazosport College attendee who plans to pursue a degree in nursing. The Russia-Ukraine war has been an ongoing conflict that has affected so many lives and continues to do so. I want to discuss how the war not only strengthened NATO's role in global security, but also changed security policies and alliances throughout Europe. First, it is important to acknowledge that the Ukraine war caused many more countries to seek NATO membership. Finland officially joined NATO in 2023, and Sweden applied for membership of NATO soon thereafter. According to Stephanie Angelale, these countries wanted memberships in NATO because they wanted stronger protection against possible hostility from Russia. Due to the Ukraine war, many countries have become weary of Russian aggression across Europe. The war also highlighted how important a collective defense system can be in times of crisis. Finland's membership in NATO was especially important because it added a long border between NATO and Russia. This made NATO's presence in Europe strategic and tactical. According to Gadi Oziman and his colleagues, the war forced European nations to reconsider their security priorities and strengthen their deterrence strategies. Second, countries with memberships in NATO became more united during the war. The members worked closely together by sharing intelligence, supporting Ukraine in their time of need, and coordinating military efforts. Furthermore, military spending increased in many NATO countries because their focus was on national defense and security. According to Danuta Mirzoa and Pyotr Mashishchik, many NATO members increased defense budgets because they saw that preparing for future threats was wise. In addition to that, Raymond Rublovsky says that the war strengthened transatlantic cooperation and reinforced NATO's influence in global politics. NATO also gained lots of attention worldwide as they became a key component in response to the conflict. Overall, the Russia-Ukraine war significantly changed NATO because it encouraged more countries to join, which increased unity among the countries and strengthened the defense efforts across Europe. According to Donald Pienkos, NATO remained one of the most important international alliances for maintaining stability and collective security in the modern world. Here are the sources I used for my portion of this presentation.
Hello, my name is Harold Ramos, and I will be speaking on how NATO's involvement in the war impacts other nations. We must recognize that NATO's involvement in the Ukraine war affects other countries far beyond its borders, shaping economies and political relationships around the world. According to official NATO data, the conflict has directly stabilized international markets by forcing rapid divergence of global energy and supply lines away from Russian reliance. Political relationships between nations have become increasingly tense as we see a deeply divided world where some countries support Ukraine while others choose to remain neutral or support Russia. As we look ahead, NATO's future may contain changing because of the war. More countries may actively seek protection through similar alliances, and NATO itself may continue expanding and increasing its overall security efforts. Financial data from the Q Industry Tracker shows that while smaller border economies are heavily allocating GPD to region security, internal tensions are rising over long-term alliance spending, proving that global tensions will continue for years. In summary, NATO was originally created to protect member nations, and it now plays a major role in the Ukraine war through military support, security efforts, and international cooperation. Ultimately, the Ukraine war has shown how one conflict can affect other countries, the entire world, and how organizations like NATO continue shaping global security today.